Okay, let's start anew. Hello again. I forgot to say hi. But either way, we're continuing playing the demo of Pathologic Dating Simulator. This time with my favorite boy, Artemy. Haruspex. The Haruspex Artemy Burak, who had crossed the difficult path from a negligent student to a Manku, arrived in the town at the request of his father. Faced with mystical revelations and the heavy burden of choice, he was now preparing to find a new family. The kin were no more. Earth cut off the excess. Or had they cut the umbilical cord themselves? The sun was rising over the town again. Dormant factories were reflected in the waters of Gorgon, and the empty womb of the termitary froze in anticipation. Artemy stood on the threshold of his father's house and looked at the indifferent sky, completely lost. He had learned how to stitch other people's lives together, but he himself remained a cut-off piece. In this town of birds, everyone gathered in flocks, and now that the ashes had settled, he had yet to find his own. That was what his father had wanted, wasn't it? It's been a tough September. How did that feel? If you want to chat, I'm not interested. Don't be angry, Haruspex. That's the job. A client shouldn't brood over an empty glass. Twirine? I have no desire to listen to the town. Maybe next time. It's important to keep people's spirits up. Coffee it is, then. The air reeked of bitter, burnt coffee beans, which a week ago Artemy had chewed whole just to stay awake. You look like you're lost. Maybe you need help. I'll manage. Or, I guess. My father used to say that we don't meet people by accident. Maybe you can help. Well, go ahead. I see you've already mastered the main mechanics. Sometimes choices determine our fate. Let's put things in perspective. You are a Manku who received an inheritance in the town that you did not ask for. You have met old friends and fought and won an unequal battle against a disease caused by an ancient force trapped deep within the earth. Now all that remains is to rely on fate and listen not to intuition, but to the people who are still alive thanks to your actions. Have you been talking to him, mortal? I have no idea who you're talking about. The barkeep smiled enigmatically and handed Artemy a cup of coffee. The epidemic is behind us. There is no more need to save anyone. Now only the people around you will determine how the performance will end. If you are rude, the line between you and a person will tear. Offer help, and at the appointed hour there will be a knock on your door. Familiar rules. I've been playing by them for 12 days. And now you're going to say that I don't have much time, right? In the factory, rumor has it that the train will arrive in 5 days. Enough to write a new story, Where's my first reward for guessing correctly? Should I remind you of the people who are waiting for you in the town? You'll get some practice at making a choice. All you have to do is click on the queue. You only live once. Let's play again. The first thing to do is to visit your friend's stock in the prosectorium. He needs support now more than ever. Grieve the clocksmith is buried in tools at his new abode. It seems he will need help. Lara Ravel spends hours wandering the streets of the town. The shelter is very quiet. And sometimes in this very place you can hear the most interesting conversations. It's as if there had never been 12 days of plague. I'll see what I can do. Where do I start? I reckon Twirine will give you a clue. You just want to sell me a shot. That's the job. The barkeep poured one of the Haruspex and quietly stepped back. Downing the scalding Twirine in one draught, Artemy listened to the voice of the town. Burak was about to leave, but froze on the threshold. He had left something behind. Something important. Maybe it was the Twirine talking, helping to reach for less obvious connections. Or maybe he was stopped by the cold and attentive eyes of the autumn town waiting there, outside. Waiting for the next important move, frozen in intense curiosity. Decided to stay with us? I don't know myself. It's like I forgot something. You should take a closer look around. Who knows, maybe you'll meet an old friend. Or a person who was always somewhere nearby, at arm's length. Are you speaking in riddles again? It's just an educated guess. I didn't find any wallet on the bar counter. So, you're not asking about an object. Look around. Maybe you'll see some familiar faces. The Broken Heart was not crowded. Only 4 tables were occupied. Yulia Yuricheva thoughtfully twirled an unlit cigarette in her hand and glanced around. Looking for a light? Vlad Olgimsky leaned on a round table. He seemed the worse for wear. Eva Jan bent down to adjust a small, almost childishly small shoe. What had this girl forgotten in the twilight then, one wondered. In a corner, the Stamatin twins were leaning over a table, drawing something on a napkin. A new polyhedron? Burak felt invisible threads stretching in different directions. He decided he might as well sit down at one of the tables. Yulia Yuricheva. Yulia! Yuricheva rewarded Burak with a grateful nod when he bent down to light her cigarette. Thank you kindly. There are still gentlemen in the steppe, it turns out. Does tobacco smoke bother you? Have a seat, please. Keep a lady company. She moved back a little from the table and put away her cane, leaving enough room for a second chair. Did you come here to watch too? What do you mean? This place is a cross-section of society in miniature. Think about it. There's so much mixed up here. I know of very few such places. This step town and this pub are the same thing, a big melting pot. A melting pot? And what is being melted in it? If I were superstitious, I would say souls. She grinned, flicking off a column of ash. Just look around. Look at those present here. Who is of most interest to you? Let's speculate. What brought them here? I love this game. Well, Peter and Andrei make sense why they're here, so I'd say Eva Jan. Eva Jan, what is she doing here at midday, and dressed in such provocative manner at that? Sweet Eva? Oh, she fancies herself a great seductress, but she is as pure as a child. She came here hoping to meet this certain someone. I think you know him very well. She's going to sit here a little longer, and then I'm afraid I'll have to break the bad news myself. Destroy the honeyed promise of expectation. What did you say? A great seductress? Yulia shrugged her shoulders. Well, yes. When Eva first came here, she was shaken to the core by the kinds, by their fancies. Absolute freedom, the beauty of overcoming boundaries, permissiveness, all these beautiful iniquities, as Maria likes to say. I'm afraid Eva has fallen into their web. Do you have another match? Thank you. She didn't find her own place in the town, so she fancied herself a local Messalina. Haven't you been paying attention? Eva serves love. She herself seems to be woven from this fragile offering. It seems to me that she is waiting for someone to come into her world, for the sake of whom she could heroically give up her life. Except that no one here wants her sacrifice, as it turns out. Does she really deserve to be here alone? Won't she get into trouble? Oh, don't worry. If you turn slightly to the left... Slightly to the left, don't twist so obviously. You'll see what kind of looks Andrei throws at Eva. They had a short-lived romance. But Andrei never completely breaks up with women, believe me. He still keeps an eye on Eva, subtly, from afar. He doesn't interfere in her whimsical affairs, but he would never leave her in trouble either. And when the Stamatins leave, and they are already going home, I will look after Eva. You? Yulia shrugged her shoulders. What's wrong with that? Women's solidarity. We wouldn't want our naive little girl to be kidnapped by a dongus. You really surprised me. Enough cute nonsense. So, what are you doing here at such an early hour? It's not even 12 yet. I was hoping that after a glass of Twyrine, a sensible idea would come to mind. Yulia raised an eyebrow in surprise. Oh, are you one of those mystics too? Do you believe in the hidden herbological properties of Twyrine? Twyrine has many different properties, not all of them studied. In recent days, I've had to work a lot with Twire. The composition of a panacea and Twyrine is 80% the same. Maybe, instead of the Twyrine haze, you'd prefer to listen to my advice. It depends on what the advice is about. In the last few days, I've received it in spades. Especially from those weird theater people. Speaking of theaters, have you noticed that with the end of the epidemic, all the masked people disappeared from the streets? Wait a minute, now that I think about it. Yes, you seem to be right there too. The day before, I walked around the whole town on purpose. It's not as easy with my limp, you know. The theater is closed with a large barn lock. The posters have been torn down. Immortal is nowhere to be seen, and his entire troupe seems to have vanished into thin air. The next train is still 5 days away. Where could they have gone? To be honest, I never had much sympathy for them. Giving theatrical performances in the middle of an epidemic, over the moans and cries of dying people. You have to suffer from a special form of cynicism to do something like that. Mark had a morbid obsession with the theme of death, the macabre. He arrived in the town before the first outbreak, just a few days prior. And you don't think it's just a coincidence? Everything in the world is interconnected. I have a theory about it. I call it tripwires of fate. I would be happy to share my thoughts with you. You're an appreciative listener. But not here and not today. So, it seems to me that Mark's theater was related to the caravan. You've heard of the Ace of Diamonds caravan, haven't you? There isn't a person left in the country who hasn't heard of them. People of the arts were harassed and persecuted after this story of child switching. Many innocent artists were caught in the crossfire. And yet, I don't consider the appearance, and especially the disappearance of Immortal's troupe a coincidence. If they arrive on the eve of terrible events, then their departure, I think... Will it mean the advent of peaceful times? Well, let's hope so. So getting back to the question of advice, if it's not another riddle, I don't mind. Oh, don't worry, this is advice of a very practical, I would even say mundane kind. Go ahead then. You need to find a friend in this town. One true friend. This will be enough to give you a foothold here, to bind yourself to this place. Are you referring to yourself? Oh no, I mean something else entirely. You grew up in these parts, didn't you? Do your childhood friends still live here? Yes, Grief, Lara, Ruben. It's time to reconnect. Thanks for the advice. Oh, thank you for the fascinating conversation. Come see me at the Trammel sometime. We'll chat. Certainly. He could leave the Broken Heart, or he could stay here a while longer. The hall was half empty. Join Eva on? Eva looked around the tables with intense impatience. Waiting for someone? Waiting for someone. He's not coming. Sorry, what? Sorry, that was a bad joke. Are you waiting for someone? Eva wrinkled her nose. You know, that kind of pickup line went out of style about 20 years ago. Sorry if I'm disturbing. It seemed to me that you could use some company. Eva looked around miserably. At first I thought you were talking to someone else. She looked Artemy up and down. I remember you. It was you who visited Anne Daniil the other day. I mean, Bachelor Dankovsky. Vorak, yes? His lips stretched involuntarily, turning a smile into more of a grin. Borak, Artemy Borak. Son of the late Isidore Borak. So you're Isidore's son? I didn't know him well. All I heard was that there was a doctor in the town, from the kin. Yeah, I'm his son. What can I do for you, Borak? She pronounced the last word with emphasis. She really didn't seem to need company. Sorry to have bothered you. Best of luck to you. Peter and Andrew stammered and rose from their table. Andrew caught his brother when he stumbled on the steps. Ava followed them with her eyes. Sorry to bother you. I'm leaving now. Strange conversations, strange connections. New lines are stretching, but I don't understand where they lead. Coming out of the gloom of the pub, Burak winced at the bright light. He looked around, streets familiar from his childhood, everyday conversations of passers-by, the usual everyday hustle and bustle. How can everyone around be so calm? It's as if those 12 terrible days never happened. Am I the only one who can't imagine how to get back to my former ordinary life? What to even call former? Father is gone. The town has changed. Friends. Are we still friends? Even our last meeting was so tense and awkward. Out of habit, he headed towards the gap in the brick wall, past the broken heart, but stopped in his tracks. Shit, Kerr. My feet lead themselves to the lair. A cub indeed. It's time to come out of hibernation. Artemy turned toward his childhood home, his father's home, his own home. The unoiled hinges of the gate creaked as they always did. Sparrows chirped loudly in the trees. The man standing on the threshold turned sharply, as if plucked from painful thoughts. Stock? Reuben pursed his lips and stepped down to meet Artemy. Hello, Master. Come on, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? We're friends. Reuben was silent, only pressing his lips tighter. It seems that by agreeing to become an apprentice, he chose a role for himself, almost sacred in his understanding. And now he's trying to fit it. Come in, let's have coffee. Been waiting here long? No, didn't even get time to knock. Artemy opened the door for his visitor, taking off his shoes as he went. Hey, Sticky, put the kettle on. Disgruntled muttering greeted him from the top floor, and half a minute later, the carefully nonchalant face of Sticky appeared from the stairs. What do you want? Yelling your head off indoors. Noticing the visitor accompanying Artemy and measuring him head to toe with an indifferent look, Sticky pulled up his slipping belt. Oh, hello. Stop fooling around. Behave yourself. What do you mean? I said hello. I'll kick you out. I mean it. I'll kick you out. Sure, he's gonna kick me out. Who will clean the floors for you? Carry firewood. Yeah, you're a real lady of the house, blabbermouth. Go on, put the kettle on. Where's the kerosene? In the pantry. I bought 3 liters yesterday. With a deliberately loud sigh, Sticky trudged into the pantry. Artemy led Stack to the second floor and then noticed. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Who was that? Ah, Sticky? My apprentice. The second. Or, well, the first. He asked me first, and I couldn't refuse. Lara told me something about you having a children's shelter here now, and somehow I let it slip my mind. Yes, 2 of them have ended up with me here. Sticky is older and murky. He turned around and barked again towards the kitchen. Sticky! What else do you want? Where's Murky? There was a stomping on the stairs. A disgruntled Sticky appeared on the threshold. She's in the attic, playing. And don't yell at the whole house like that. Making a fuss. Muttering discontentedly to himself, Sticky disappeared behind the door. And does he always talk to you like that? Yes, I've had it already with his thieves and manners. He spends too much time at the warehouses, picking up bad habits. That is... He lets himself talk to you like that? To his master? I'll kick him out. He'll drive me mad, and then I'll kick him out. Reuben tried to restrain himself, but after a second he snorted loudly. Your educational methods are remarkable. No worse than any other. So the second apprentice. Reuben looked down at his feet as if he wanted to say something, but did not dare. Did I offend you with that? By taking Sticky for training? What? Oh. No, not at all. On the contrary, it's good that you decided to teach him. Maybe then... He clammed up. Stag, what happened? You're not yourself today. Have you ever had the feeling that everything has already been decided for you? That here it is, the end, and now everyone should live happily ever after. And you know very well that what that happily ever after is, and you don't see anything happy in it for yourself. Only long, long years before you die. I caught myself thinking the same this morning. As if everything had been decided for me, and now to keep living is unclear. This was my father's house, and now it's mine. Here was a place amongst the kin, my father's, and now it's mine. Here is your father's apprentice. Don't start. You're more important to me as a friend than as an apprentice. Where have you been all these 5 days? I even went to the station to ask if you had left. Reuben silently lowered his head. Stock. Come on, talk to me. I don't want to lose you. Neither you nor Lara and Grief. Well, what can I do to get it all back? Because I don't know. I've been gone too long. 6 years. We should all go out together, like in the old days, huh? Remember how we used to celebrate holidays in the town? Nadam, in the middle of summer, and the equinoxes in spring and autumn. Tilagan. It was beautiful. Yes, beautiful. He raised his head as if deciding something. Cub, Tilagan is in 5 days. That's the answer. Answer? Let's get together for a holiday. Let's celebrate the beginning of winter. Say yes, Stack. Maybe we can put everything back together. Maybe we'll find the answers we're both looking for. Stack nodded. You're right. Let's all get together. It's a good occasion. You go see Grief. He asked about you. Is he in the warehouses or our proud eagle? As always. I'm going, Cub. Really, it's time. Sticky appeared at the door with a hot kettle. Reuben walked by without looking, which made Sticky turn his head in confusion. Hey, who did I boil the kettle for, huh? Burak took the teapot from Sticky and escorted Stack to the door. Thanks for stopping by. Come back as soon as you have time. Don't be a stranger. Reuben nodded silently. We still haven't had any coffee, though. Maybe I'll come by your place tomorrow morning. You don't have any business planned. There was business, but I'll finish it by tonight. Come on by. Tomorrow morning. I'll be waiting. The door closed behind Reuben. We had a good talk, though not for long. I'll have to visit Stock tomorrow. And Tilagan, the equinox. Maybe this is the sign I was looking for? What if everything could be put back together again? Or if we could create something new, better? Artemy found the nest exactly as he had left it after his showdown with Barley, an inconspicuous, slowly rusting warehouse building. As always, the nest was surrounded by crates, trash cans, and other junk. Where did all this stuff even come from? Why had Grief come back here? Hadn't he wanted to change his life? To choose a different fate for himself? Had old habits taken over, and Grief decided to re-engage in his activities balancing on the edge of legality? After a moment's hesitation, Artemy grasped the handle, opened the door, and stepped inside. In the midst of the devastation left by Barley and his gang, Artemy saw Grief. He was sitting right on the floor, looking at the fallen long case clock. Oh, Cobb. Hey, buddy. Thank you for not keeping me waiting. You asked me to come by. I developed a habit during these damn 2 weeks. Don't put things off or time will run out. You got that right. Time is not going to wait for you. Unlike me, of course, but my patience is not limitless. So what are you doing here? No misbehaving, no bothering anybody, just fixing my clocks. Good job. Why did you call me then? I can't help with the clock. I'm not asking for that. At least I don't need your direct help. You dig in the guts of people, I dig in the guts of machines. But we both need tools for this. I still don't see why my help is needed here. I don't think you're going to fix your clock with a scalpel. Ha, no, that's not it. Remember when you left your tools in my place back in the first week? That's what I need. I don't mind sharing. But shouldn't you have your own? Oh, I had them. Do you think I was buying up broken clocks for my collection? No, I repaired and resold them. So I had the tools, too. But Barley either threw them away or dragged them off somewhere. I had kept them close at hand before, in a prominent place. So I can kiss my tools goodbye. Okay, I get it. I'll look for mine now. I hope the kid didn't break in this mess. Thanks, brother. I knew you wouldn't leave me high and dry. Grief returned to work on the clock, carefully removing the sturdy case from the mechanism. Artemy began to look for the bag of tools. What drawer had he left them in? Knowing Grief's skills, he could have found those tools himself without any problem. As a child, the only thing he'd found faster than other people's things was trouble on his own head. It was encouraging, though, that he'd decided to ask for permission in such a veiled way. It meant the man was changing. That was good news. The bag was found in one of the fallen lockers. A crate had toppled into it, so it wasn't surprising that Barley's men hadn't found anything here. That's for the best. And here are the tools. Long live the laziness and inattention of Barley's goons. I wish they hadn't acted like a herd of bulls in a china shop. It's obvious what motivated them when they drove my guys out of the warehouse and laid their grubby hands on almost all of my goods. But what I can't understand is why they had to break it, so no one else could have it? Those sons of bitches. Well, people distinguished by gallantry and a sense of tact don't become bandits in the first place. That's true. It's one thing to walk on a razor's edge, satisfying a craving for adventure. It's quite another to rob for the sake of robbery. I never liked it. I know, Grief. I know. Thanks. Well, I appreciate your help. It would have been harder for me without your tools. If you need anything or just want to chat, look for me here. I'm going to stick around this place for a few days. And I'm probably closer to the warehouses than to the cathedral. Well, see you later. It's nice to help someone close to you. I'll probably visit Grisha again soon. Grisha? I think it meant to say Grief. I want to see him more often, and it makes my heart feel at ease. Before Burak could reach the shelter, he noticed Lara standing in the middle of the road, gazing thoughtfully down the street. One of her palms was rubbing the other, as if she had something burning in her hand, but she wasn't about to let it go. Sensing Artemy approaching, Lara turned around. Her hands were empty. Lara, what are you looking at? Nothing. Burak narrowed his eyes. Across the street, around the bend, was the town hall. An image of the captain's daughter, who had come to administer justice to the general who had sentenced her father, immediately came to mind. Let's go home, Ravel. Let's go home, Gravel. Lara didn't seem to care what he had said. She just glared at him with a hard look. Everything is so simple for you, cub. You came and saved us all. A real hero. Are you pleased with yourself? Proud? What if you hadn't saved everyone? Like me, for example. If you couldn't save me, what then? What do you think? I think, cub, that you were just saving me out of habit. Running around the town like that. Save this one with the pills, that one with a tincture, Lara from a shameful death. While you're at it. Well, maybe a bit like that. But for me, all lives are equally important. And your life means no less than the life of anyone else who is also in danger. I'm not less, but I'm not more, right? That's what I thought. But that's nothing new. What's with the decadent mood? It's all over now. Things are slow now, but it will only get better. Exactly, the epidemic is over. Literally just now. Think about the fact that you weren't the only one who was busy during it. I worked hard too. I was scared too. Can you tell me about what you've been through? No. No, it's in the past. And I don't even want to think that it could all happen again. However, I've been through worse this year. Lara suddenly turned away and walked down the street away from Artemy. Call out to her. Gravel, wait! We haven't had a chance to just talk for so long and you're leaving already? Lara stopped and turned around, looking questioningly. I was thinking, it's so peaceful right now. Quiet. You're standing here and I can't even believe that just a couple of days ago you were holding a gun in your hands. You were ready to kill. That's not like you. Is that what you think? What do you know about me anyway? Neither much nor little, only what you show yourself. Only what you show yourself. That's the way it always is. They walked side by side in silence, and Artemy no longer felt at ease with her as before. Before, Lara was a dear friend, one who would never betray him, who thought about the same things he thought about. And now it was as if a wall had grown between them, and it was not clear how to break it down. Lara remained silent, and Burak could not find anything to say. His gaze caught on a flower that had blossomed by the road, which had inexplicably survived the madness of the last 2 weeks. Look how beautifully it's grown. And there are bushes around it. That's what allowed it to grow unhindered. Strong bushes protected it, allowing it to eventually bloom. What do you think? Do I look like a flower? More like a weeping willow. Oh really? Have you ever seen me cry? Sure I have. I don't have to think hard. Here goes. One time when the bugs in your jar didn't have babies. They must have both been boys and in captivity. Cub? Then there was the time you broke the mirror at home and I said it was me. Oh, how your father boxed my ears for that. They're still burning red, see? All right, that's enough. That's enough. I'm not a little girl anymore, and I don't shed tears for no reason these days. My crooked ears aren't a reason for you now, are they? They are the exception. I'll go. I need to make dinner. I don't understand what's going on with her. She looks like she's laughing, while looking like she's about to cry. I'll have to check on her again. I hope nothing bad happens. The end of day 1? Oh, that was it? Oh, man. Well, shit. I guess that's it. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. And yeah, hopefully we'll play this again once it's all done. I really hope so. See you.